Ben Hogan is the one golf prodigy with a swing that defied the laws of physics. Not only did he have game-changing bowling ability and undeniable charisma, but did you know that Ben Hogan is the only golfer to have won the Masters, US Open, and Open Championship in the same year? But that's not what cemented his legend status. After a near-fatal accident that doctors thought would take away his legs, Hogan made an unbelievable comeback and went on to win 6 major championships. There are so many more mind-blowing facts waiting for you in the video, so stay tuned as we dive into this amazing adventure. Ben Hogan was born in Stephenville, Texas, and came from humble beginnings. His father was a blacksmith, and the family had to move to Fort Worth to make ends meet. But tragedy struck when Ben was just 9 years old. His father sadly took his own life, leaving the family in financial hardship. To help support their seamstress mother, Ben and his older brother took on odd jobs. Ben sold newspapers at the train station after school, while his brother delivered office supplies by bicycle. But fate had something special for Ben when a friend suggested he try caddying at Glen Garden Country Club. No one guessed it, but this would be the start of an incredible journey. At the age of 11, Ben found himself caddying alongside a young Byron Nelson, who would become his lifelong friend and tour rival. They both tied for the lead at a Christmas caddy tournament in 1927 in a thrilling turn of events. But instead of settling it with sudden death, they played another 9 holes. The tension was palpable as they reached the final green. And then, with nerves of steel, Nelson sank an incredible putt to win the tournament by just 1 stroke. After that fantastic Christmas caddy tournament, something unique happened for Byron Nelson. The following spring, the members of Glen Garden graduated. He had to find other places to play since he was now too old to caddy at Glen Garden. He discovered 3 not-so-fancy daily fee courses: Caddy Lake, Worth Hills, and Z Boaz. These courses may not have been glamorous, but they allowed Hogan to keep improving his skills and playing the game he loved. It was a stepping stone on his path to greatness. As they always say, a 1,000-mile journey starts with 1 step. Now, let's talk about Ben's golf progress. Ben Hogan's early years as a pro golfer weren't an easy journey, but he faced the challenges head-on and eventually became one of the greatest golfers ever. Hogan made a bold decision during the final semester of his senior year at Central High School. He dropped out to pursue his passion for golf. At 17 and a half years old, he turned pro at the Texas Open in San Antonio in late January 1930. Talk about chasing your dreams at a young age. Now, let's talk about his love life. In the mid-1920s, Hogan met a special someone named Valerie Fox in Sunday school. Fate brought them back together in 1932 when Hogan landed a low-paying job as a club pro in Claiborne, where Valerie's family had moved. It was like a match made in golfing heaven. They tied the knot in April 1935, exchanging vows at Valerie's parents' home. Love on and off the golf course. How sweet is that? But the early years as a pro golfer weren't all sunshine and rainbows for Hogan. He faced some tough times and even went broke more than once. Can you imagine the challenges he had to overcome? It wasn't until March 1940, at 27, that Hogan secured his first tournament win as an individual. And guess what? He won not just 1, but 3 consecutive events in North Carolina. It was indeed a triumphant moment. Valerie's unwavering belief in Hogan played a crucial role in his success throughout those difficult years. Her support and encouragement helped him through the tough times, especially when battling a hook in his swing. With her by his side, Hogan overcame his struggles and found his true potential on the golf course. In 1938, despite finishing 13th on the money list, Hogan took an assistant pro job at Century Country Club in Purchase, New York. He worked tirelessly, first as an assistant and then as the head pro until 1941. That's when he took on the head pro position at Hershey Country Club in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hogan was determined to make his mark in the golfing world, and these opportunities allowed him to continue building his skills and making a name for himself. Moving on along Ben's golf journey, something tragic happened that almost ended his career. In the evening of 1949, Hogan and Valerie drove back home after a tough loss at the Phoenix Open. Suddenly, they find themselves in a terrifying head-on collision with a Greyhound bus. Hogan, being his hero, threw himself across Valerie to protect her during the crash. It's good he did, because the steering column pierced the driver's seat right where he would have been sitting. Talk about a close handshake with death. Unfortunately, Hogan suffered some severe injuries from the accident. He ended up with a fractured pelvis, collarbone, and ankle, along with a chipped rib and some nasty blood clots. Doctors even thought he might never walk again, let alone play golf at a competitive level. Can you imagine the uncertainty he must have felt? But Hogan didn't let those setbacks keep him down. After 59 long days in the hospital, Hogan finally got to leave on April 1st. He hopped on a train and returned to Fort Worth, ready to take on the world again. To get back on his feet, Hogan started walking. He put in the miles, building up his strength and determination. And guess what? By November 1949, he was back in action on the golf course. His big comeback was the Los Angeles Open in 1950. Hogan tied with the legendary Sam Snead after 72 holes. They had to settle the score with an 18-hole playoff a week later. Can you imagine the suspense? Though Hogan didn't come out on top in that playoff, his return to the PGA Tour was a triumph. Moving on, Ben Hogan was an absolute legend on the golf course. People still talk about his incredible ball-striking skills to this day. Hogan had an impressive record with 64 PGA Tour victories, but his ball-striking ability really sets him apart. It's like he had a secret superpower. You know what's crazy? Hogan was a practice fanatic. He particularly invented the concept of practice. He used to say, "You hear stories about me practicing like crazy, but honestly, I loved every minute of it. I couldn't wait to wake up just to hit some balls. It was pure joy when I hit that ball right where I wanted, with power and precision." And get this, Hogan was one of the first players to analyze the game and match specific clubs to different yardages and landmarks on the course. He was all about distance control. Hogan believed that the golf swing was something you had to dig deep into, like it was buried in the dirt. He spent years studying and experimenting with different theories and methods before finally nailing down his winning technique. If dedication were a person, he would have been Ben Hogan. Back in the day, he had a bit of struggle with hooking the ball. Despite the small stature, 5 feet 8.5 inches and 145 pounds, he could launch that ball off the tee. No wonder they called him Bantam, although he wasn't a big fan of that nickname. You know what's interesting? Hogan used to compete in long drive contests, where golfers would show off their power and distance, but it wasn't just about the long drives for him. He also played in match and stroke play events, showing off his skills in different formats. Before his little accident in 1949, Hogan was said to use a firm grip during tournaments. Even though he practiced with a weak grip, young Hogan developed that firm grip to keep up with the big, muscular guys and hit the ball just as far. But sometimes, that grip led to some wild snap hooks. But you know what they say, every cloud has a silver lining. Hogan's unique swing style and weak grip resulted in his famous Hogan fade ball flight. It was lower than what you'd expect from a top player and curved from left to right. With that combo, he eliminated the chance of hitting a hook. He did turn his weakness into his strength. And you need to know that Hogan was a true bare-handed golfer. No gloves for him. He played in practice with just his bare hands. It wasn't just him. His friend Mo Norman was there too. Can you imagine? And the exciting part is that Tiger Woods said Hogan and Norman were the only players who truly owned their swings. They had complete control over their swings and the ball's flight. In the Colonial National Invitation in Fort Worth, Texas, back in May 1967, Carrie Middlecoff's book editor watched Hogan in action. Of the 281 shots he took, 139 were rated from well executed to superbly executed when reaching the greens. Only 2 images missed their mark, and even those were just a tiny bit off. It's mind-boggling to think anyone could hit the ball better over 4 days. In the spring of 1953, Hogan dropped the bombshell and revealed he had discovered a secret that made his swing almost automatic. Everyone was buzzing with curiosity about what the secret could be. Now, there are a bunch of theories floating around about the exact nature of this secret. One of the earliest theories suggests it involved a wrist movement called cupping under. This was spilled in a Life magazine article back in 1955. But here's the thing. Many people believed Hogan didn't spill all the tea then. According to Golf Digest magazine and Jody Vasquez's book Afternoons with Mr. Hogan, there's another element to Hogan's secret. It turns out that the movement on his right knee played a crucial role in initiating a swing. Who knew that the knee could be significant? Hogan later revealed that his secret involved cupping his left wrist at the top of the backswing and using a weaker left hand grip. He ensured he never hooked the ball off the tee by doing this. This hand positioning ensured the club face would be slightly open upon impact, resulting in a beautiful fade, a left to right ball flight. Many people believe that even Hogan played right-handed as an adult. He was left-handed. Hogan himself, in his book 5 Lessons, mentioned that he was born left-handed and that doing things with his left hand felt natural to him. He switched over to doing things right-handed when he was a young boy. However, when he first got his hand on a club, it was a left-handed stick, so he started playing golf as a left-hander. In later interviews, Hogan mentioned that his belief in being left-handed was a myth. He clarified that he was a right-handed player who initially used a left-hand club because that's all he had. This mix-up probably led to the misconception. Hogan's early play with right-handed equipment had him using a cross-handed grip with his right hand at the club's end and his left hand below it. In their book, The Search for the Perfect Golf Swing, researchers Cochran and Staub shared that a left-handed person playing right-handed might be more prone to hook the ball. It's like a little cork that adds to the mystery surrounding Hogan's golf journey. Moving on, let's talk about the impact Hogan had on golf. Ben Hogan was notable for his influence on golf swing theory and ball striking ability. He explained to fellow players how to perfect a golf swing. Here are some incredible lessons from the legendary champion Ben Hogan that you can remember this golf season. Hogan had this excellent technique where he increased his swing tempo from the top through impact. By doing this, he generated maximum club head speed after making contact with the ball. Talk about power. Regarding shots around the greens, Hogan believed in thinking low. Keeping those chips and pitches nice and quiet allows for more spin on the ball and greater control on the swing plane. He also recommended minimizing hand movement to avoid scooping the ball. Hogan was all about precision off the tee. He focused on delaying wrist action during the downswing, which kept the club head behind his hands. This helped him maintain accuracy and control in his swing, even after his accident. Hogan knew that the only physical contact in golf was between your hands and the club, so he emphasized the importance of a solid grip as the foundation of a great swing. According to him, both hands must work together and fit firmly in the club as a single unit. As Hogan put it, a partially correct grip is still partially incorrect. The hands have to work in harmony. Have you ever thought about your feet while golfing? Well, Hogan sure did. Your stance and posture are crucial in activating the right muscles, aligning your body, and maintaining balance throughout your swing. Start with your feet. Knees, hips, and shoulders aligned toward the target. Keep your feet shoulder width apart, with the front foot slightly open towards the target and the back foot perpendicular to the target. It's all about finding that perfect balance. Now, this lesson may not be something you can see or fix with fancy equipment or classes. But trust me, it's the most powerful lesson from Hogan's life. It's that intangible quality that sets champions apart. Golf teaches us integrity and etiquette, but it also teaches us something more profound. Hogan's work ethic was legendary. He started as a young kid, practicing golf for 12 hours a day. He believed that practice was half the fun of playing. And let me tell you, nobody worked as hard as Ben to play golf. Just ask the late Byron Nelson. Hogan's story teaches us courage too. Despite a near-fatal crash, he bounced back and won the U.S. Open 16 months later. He was very resilient. People may have doubted him, but Hogan had the fire within him to prove them wrong. And that fire can be found in all of us. Golf may present challenges, but deep down, we all have the power to overcome them and achieve greatness. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our exciting golf content. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let's spread the love for golf together.